Welcome to Moonlight Story, where we listen, relax, and slowly drift off to sleep. Tonight's story follows Lily as she spends a quiet evening at home preparing a surprise birthday celebration for her best friend. In the warm kitchen light, she slowly bakes a classic chocolate truffle cake, decorates the apartment, and gets everything ready before her friend arrives home. So get comfortable, settle in, and let this soft, cozy evening gently carry you into tonight's story. Now imagine yourself stepping inside a quiet apartment at the end of the day. Outside, the evening sky has already turned dark, and soft city lights glow beyond the windows. The world feels calmer now, slower than it did earlier. Inside, warm kitchen lights fill the apartment with a gentle golden glow. The counters are clean. Mixing bowls wait nearby. Chocolate, butter, cream, and flour have already been placed neatly across the counter. Everything is ready. A soft playlist plays quietly somewhere in the background while the evening settles comfortably around the room. Tonight is special. Not because of a loud party or a crowded celebration. Just a quiet surprise for someone important. You walk toward the kitchen slowly. The apartment smells faintly of cocoa and vanilla already, even before the baking has begun. Beside the counter sits a small wrapped gift and a pack of birthday candles waiting for later. Lily stands in the kitchen, tying her hair back loosely as she looks over the ingredients one more time. Her best friend will be home later tonight. And before that happens, she wants everything to be perfect. The chocolate truffle cake, the candles, the soft little celebration waiting quietly at home. The evening feels calm, warm, comforting, and in the quiet apartment, the birthday surprise is just beginning. Lily washed her hands, tied her hair into a loose ponytail, and looked over the counter one more time before starting. Everything she needed was already laid out neatly. Flour in a glass bowl, sugar beside it, cocoa powder, eggs, butter waiting to soften near the stove, and bars of dark chocolate resting on a wooden board for the truffle frosting later. She always liked preparing everything before baking. It made the kitchen feel calmer, more organized. Lily pulled a large mixing bowl closer and began with the dry ingredients first. Flour, cocoa powder, a little baking powder, She whisked them together slowly until the cocoa blended evenly through the flour, turning everything a soft chocolate brown. Then she moved to another bowl for the wet ingredients. The butter had softened enough now, and she mixed it with sugar until it became smooth and lighter in color. The soft sound of the whisk filled the quiet kitchen while music played gently in the background. Now and then, Lily glanced toward the clock. Still plenty of time before her friend came home. That thought made her smile a little. She cracked the eggs carefully into the bowl one at a time, mixing slowly after each one. Then came a splash of vanilla. The sweet smell rose almost immediately. Once everything was ready, Lily slowly folded the dry ingredients into the wet mixture. The batter thickened into a rich chocolate color as she stirred. Not too quickly, just enough to bring everything together smoothly. She paused once to scrape the sides of the bowl clean before mixing again. Then she poured warm milk into the batter, little by little, until it became silky and glossy. The kitchen already smelled like chocolate now. Warm and comforting. Lily prepared the cake tins next, brushing butter along the sides and placing baking paper neatly at the bottom of each one. Then she divided the batter carefully between them. She tapped each pan lightly against the counter to remove small air bubbles before placing them into the oven. As soon as the oven door closed, the apartment became quiet again, except for the soft hum of baking beginning in the background. Lily leaned against the counter and smiled softly to herself. The birthday cake was finally on its way. While the cakes baked, Lily cleaned the counter slowly and placed the used bowls into the sink. The apartment felt even cozier now with the smell of chocolate slowly filling every room. Warm cocoa, vanilla, fresh cake baking in the oven. It already felt like a birthday evening. Lily checked the oven light through the glass door without opening it. The cakes had started to rise properly now, the top slowly lifting higher as they baked. Satisfied, she moved back to the counter and began preparing the chocolate truffle frosting. She chopped the dark chocolate into smaller pieces, letting them fall into a bowl one soft tap at a time against the cutting board. Then she warmed cream gently on the stove, stirring occasionally while waiting for it to heat. Nothing felt rushed tonight. She liked that. No crowded decorations, no loud music. Just a homemade cake and a quiet evening with someone important to her. Once the cream was warm enough, Lily poured it over the chocolate pieces and left it untouched for a minute. The chocolate slowly softened beneath the heat. Then she stirred carefully until everything melted together into a smooth, glossy ganache. Rich, dark, silky, exactly how her best friend liked it. Lily dipped the spoon slightly into the frosting and tasted a little. Perfect. Not too sweet. Deep chocolate flavor with a soft, creamy finish. She covered the bowl and set it aside to cool slightly while the cakes continued baking. A few minutes later, the kitchen timer finally rang softly. Lily opened the oven carefully, and warm air filled the kitchen immediately. The cakes had risen beautifully. The tops were slightly rounded, soft and deep chocolate brown. She gently pressed the center of one with her fingertips. It bounced back perfectly. Done. Lily carried the pans carefully onto cooling racks and smiled as the warmth rose around her. The hardest part was over now. Soon she'd be layering the cake, covering it with chocolate frosting, and getting everything ready before her best friend came home. Once the cakes had cooled enough to handle, Lily carefully removed them from the pans and placed them onto the counter. The layers were soft and even, still carrying a little warmth from the oven. She trimmed the tops gently with a knife so they would stack neatly later, setting the extra crumbs aside on a small plate. Every now and then, she picked one up and tasted it while working. The cake was rich and soft, exactly how she hoped it would turn out. By now, the chocolate ganache had cooled to the perfect consistency. No longer runny, smooth and spreadable. Lily placed the first cake layer onto a stand in the center of the counter and spooned a thick layer of chocolate frosting over the top. She spread it slowly to the edges with an offset spatula, smoothing it carefully before placing the second layer on top. Then came the rest of the frosting. The glossy chocolate spread softly across the cake, covering the top first and then the sides. Lily turned the stand slowly as she worked, smoothing the ganache little by little until the whole cake looked neat and even. Not perfect in a bakery way. Better, homemade, warm, made for someone she cared about. She stepped back for a second to look at it. Classic chocolate truffle cake. Simple and beautiful. Lily opened the refrigerator and pulled out a small container of chocolate shavings she had prepared earlier. She sprinkled them gently over the top of the cake, letting some fall naturally along the edges. Then she added a few small swirls of frosting around the border. just enough decoration without making it feel too fancy. The kitchen had grown quieter now. The music still played softly in the background while the apartment slowly filled with the calm feeling of evening settling in. Lily wiped a little chocolate frosting from her finger and smiled. The cake was finally finished. Now all that was left was getting the apartment ready before her best friend arrived home. Lily placed the finished cake carefully into the refrigerator while she started getting the apartment ready. The kitchen still smelled warmly of chocolate, and the soft golden lights made the whole place feel calm and cozy. She cleared the counter first, washing the last few bowls and placing them onto the drying rack beside the sink. Then she wiped away the small streaks of frosting and cocoa powder left behind from baking. Little signs of the evening's work. Once the kitchen was clean again, Lily moved into the living room. She fluffed the pillows on the couch, folded the blankets neatly, and dimmed the brighter lights until only the softer lamps remained on. The apartment immediately felt warmer, quieter, more peaceful. Exactly the kind of celebration her best friend would love. Lily reached into a small paper bag near the table and pulled out a string of tiny, warm fairy lights. She draped them gently along the shelf near the window and plugged them in. A soft, golden glow spread across the room at once. Not too bright, just enough to make the evening feel special. Next came the gift she had wrapped earlier in the week. She placed it beside 2 small plates and forks on the coffee table, then added folded napkins underneath. Everything stayed simple. No crowded decorations. No loud party setup. Just a quiet evening waiting patiently for someone important to come home. After a while, Lily checked the time again. Not long now. She walked back into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator carefully. The chocolate truffle cake sat waiting inside, the frosting smooth and glossy beneath the light. She placed a few birthday candles beside it on the counter so they'd be ready later. Then she leaned against the kitchen doorway for a moment, looking at the apartment around her. The fairy lights glowing softly. The quiet music playing in the background. The cake waiting in the kitchen. Everything was ready now. All that was left was waiting for the sound of the front door opening. A little later, Lily finally heard the sound she had been waiting for. The front door unlocking. She looked up from the kitchen immediately and smiled to herself. The apartment was quiet except for the soft music still playing in the background and the faint hum of the refrigerator beside her. Lily quickly lit the birthday candles and lifted the cake carefully into her hands. Warm candlelight flickered softly across the chocolate frosting. Footsteps moved through the hallway. Then the door opened. Her best friend stepped inside looking tired from the long day, still holding keys in one hand and a bag over the shoulder. At first, there was only confusion, then surprise. The fairy lights glowing around the room, the soft music, the cake waiting with candles flickering gently in the dim apartment. Lily laughed quietly at the shocked expression and carried the cake a little closer. The whole moment felt warm and simple, exactly what she had hoped for. No loud party, no crowd, just the comfort of being home with someone important. Her best friend set the bag down near the door and smiled in the soft candlelight, already looking more relaxed than before. They moved to the couch together while the candles continued glowing softly on top of the cake. Lily sliced the first piece carefully, the chocolate layers soft beneath the knife. Soon, 2 plates rested on the coffee table beside warm mugs of tea. The apartment felt peaceful. The fairy lights glowed softly against the walls. The smell of chocolate still lingered in the kitchen. Outside, the city had gone quiet for the night. And inside the little apartment, the birthday evening settled into one of those simple moments that would be remembered for a very long time.